All right, as you know, we've been following the breaking news that President Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, is set to plead guilty to lying to Congress about a Trump real estate project in Russia.
Joining us now is CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman. Okay, so you can see the camera shaking a little bit, Rikki. All right, so let us back off here. People have been hearing a lot about Michael Cohen. They might be getting confused as to how we got to this point. Michael Cohen has already pled guilty to different charges, campaign finance violations. This is something new, what we're hearing.
What happened was this. When Michael Cohen pleaded this summer to campaign finance violations and was then facing approximately 5 years in prison, he offered himself, first through his attorney Lanny Davis, all over the airwaves, that he wanted to speak with the special counsel. And then that didn't seem to come to pass, so he kept offering himself, and eventually it did come to pass. We don't know how many hours he has spent with the special counsel's prosecutors and investigators, but one can assume it's been quite a lot. So what we find out today, because Robert Mueller, nothing ever leaks from his shop, is today Michael Cohen is in court back in the Southern District of New York, not in Washington, D.C., but this time he's in court about lying to Congress, which is clearly within the purview of the special counsel, not a Southern District charge. So my guess, and I can only give you an educated guess, is that they decided to join this in New York as a related case in order to effect and affect both the sentencing of Michael Cohen, which has been set for December 12th. Whether it will be December 12th in New York or whether it will be at a later date, that is always possible. This charge, let's look at this charge. This charge is very different. This is really about lying to Congress concerning Trump's interest, the president's interest in Russia. And that Michael Cohen is now saying, we're led to believe, and we'll know more, of course, when we really get some transcripts out of that court hearing, is that he had played down the extent of the Trump family interest or Donald Trump's interest in doing business in Russia when he testified in Congress. Now, we've all heard rumors about, and some facts, about the fact that Donald Trump wanted to build a Trump tower, a Trump hotel in Moscow. So whatever Michael Cohen told Congress back at the time he testified before them was not the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
There was a lot of confusion, I think, when Michael Cohen first pled guilty, right, to these campaign finance violations. Not confusion, but people wondered, why is he pleading guilty? Because he never went to trial. Why is he pleading guilty if he doesn't have a cooperation agreement? And you talked about his attorney was all over the airwaves saying he's just doing it because he's a good guy. He's changed his mind on the president and he doesn't need a deal. But what's the thinking now?
Well, I am sure that Michael Cohen has a firm belief that the more he cooperated, the better his sentence would be, whether or not there was a cooperation agreement. Because even the court, without a cooperation agreement, would have to take into consideration that this is substantial. Let's remember this. The indictment that he pleaded guilty to this summer really does everything except name the president, Donald Trump. It does talk about, without a name, the person who was running for elected office, who instigated and directed his activities involving the campaign finance laws, which, since it wasn't Hillary Clinton, was clearly Donald Trump. So this is the only direct link. Michael Cohen is the only direct link in a court of law at this point to the president. Now, we apparently have a second direct link, and this one could be more worrisome. Because if, in fact, there was more to it than meets the eye of Donald Trump wanting to develop that Moscow project for a Trump hotel or a Trump tower, and then there may have been more conversations with the Russians prior to the election. We don't know that. It may be a rumor. It may be supposition. But Michael Cohen obviously is a very important witness to the government right now, particularly because they lost Paul Manafort.
This is, I think the question that people are going to have right now is I guess we're waiting for somebody to make a statement because I see there's a microphone that's set up. I don't know if Mr. Cohen is still inside the courthouse. Maybe that's the case. But the question that people are going to have is, what does this mean for the president? I think that's the million-dollar question here.
Of course.
What do you think it means?
Well, I don't know what it means. And that's why I say I was merely speculating. But you have to put yourself in the president's shoes. The president is really at his highest level of disgust about the special counsel's inquiry. He still is calling it a witch hunt and a hoax. He's very proud of those who did not flip, to use his term. He doesn't like flippers, to use his term. And so he's now cheering on Paul Manafort for being a good guy, for being, in essence, a double agent. While he's working for Robert Mueller, he's also, through his lawyer, working with the Trump defense team and the other lawyers. I will tell you, in all my years of practice in covering cases, I have never heard of someone who does this. I really haven't. Doesn't mean it hasn't ever happened. But, I mean, I have a pretty vast level of experience in these cooperating cases. I've never seen it before.
So here's I think, and one of the things, here comes Mr. Cohen. This is a live picture? No. Sorry. All right. Sometimes we do that video. We should put a date on there. So here's the question, Rikki. According to the Associated Press, this guilty plea is because he lied to Congress about some kind of a deal the president, or Trump, the Trump organization, had in pursuing a real estate project in Moscow.
Correct.
Why would you lie about that? Why would you lie to Congress about a deal?
I assume, this is the only thing I can assume, Vlad, and we're all dealing with here with the highest level of speculation because we really don't have facts. I assume that he would say that at that time that he testified before Congress, and frankly, I don't know what date that was in relation to his guilty plea, but back in the summer, but I assume it was before he pled guilty this summer, that when he testified before Congress, he is going to say that he was still Mr. Trump's lawyer and that he was protecting the president. I mean, what else can he possibly say? Well, we'll find out what else he can possibly say.
No, but I think that's a really good question, Vlad. I mean, you say to yourself, you know, why do people lie, right? Do they lie to cover up a vulnerability, what they perceive as a vulnerability? So what's the vulnerability to the president or to Michael Cohen?
Well, we don't know. And the difficulty, we have always said in the legal business, the cover-up is always worse than the crime.
Right.
I mean, if you didn't get caught for the crime, you're going to get caught for the cover-up. So the idea of being put under oath before Congress and telling a deliberate lie is really foolish indeed, as if no one's ever going to find out. But we see it all the time. We see it before Congress. We see Paul Manafort lied to the special counsel. What in heaven's name was he thinking? We see it in cases all the time. Someone raises their right hand, swears an oath, and they lie in court.
We have eyes on Michael Cohen, I'm told. There he is. Let's try to listen.
Cooperated. Mr. Cohen will continue to cooperate. Sentencing is set for December 12th.
Mr. Cohen, how are you feeling? Mr. Cohen, how are you feeling? Do you want to say anything?
Thank you very much.
Are you happy? Mr. Cohen, why did you fight?
Come out this way. Come out this way, Annie.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
As expected.
Thank you. What do you think's going to happen, huh?
Roll it down, roll it down.
Thank you, sir. All right, good luck.
Oh, you actually wrote it down? That's great for an Uber SUV.
I haven't seen a scrum like that around an investigation having to do with the office of the presidency, we believe, in ever. Where you see a media scrum like that of a witness who has just pled guilty to lying to Congress, and that witness that you just saw there on your screen is the president's former personal